Any questions or comment before anybody had a life this week? One person had a life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm vacationing, so I have to like have a life being here. Otherwise, I was just wasting money and not doing anything. So, I do have a question though.
Yes.
What does it truly mean? Like, what does family truly mean? Not even from the spiritual family sense. Like, what does that mean?
Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a word.
So, like, even being here, you know, just the concept of like being amongst other people that kind of see the same things that you do. Shouldn't, just like everything else, you shouldn't have an opinion about it. You shouldn't have anything. Like, it should just be kind of revealed to you and not like an idea that you hold on to.
Right. And we get together here to edify one another, and that's all that it is, but don't get a false identity from it. You got to let go all identity. So even with the idea of family, you say family, now you have expectation from family. You want them to always be with you, whether you're wrong or right. You want them to give you money. You want to be able to whatever, right? And that's why families fight, because they think the word family means something, and they're trying to make it work. It's like husband and wife. That's another word with no meaning. But the people put meaning around it, and the only thing the husband and the wife do is fight until they either die or divorce. They don't really have a relationship because they have an expectation from one another. Even with dating, the moment you call it boyfriend, girlfriend, the moment you do that, now the expectation come in, and the boy or the girl got to answer the phone every time you call. You got to come see me. You got to text me. You got to this or that. You put expectation. And in life, we're not supposed to have expectations for anything from anyone, but we do because we've been blinded and brainwashed to believe we have to live by titles. But no titles, no expectation. And I guarantee you, with no expectation, we will treat each other perfectly.
So then what about obligations? Like, what are actual things that you may be obligated to do or be a part of with a family, like like your immediate family?
Nothing. Because with no obligation, you're going to do what you're supposed to do anyway. Obligation put a weight on it. It makes you feel like you got to do it. And when you feel like you have to do it, then you get mad about having to do it. The wife expects you to do it all the time. The husband expects this from the wife. If you don't cook my dinner, I'm going to beat you. What have you been doing all day, right? But if you didn't put obligation on it, she would naturally do what she's supposed to do. You would not. It would be amazing too. That's why when you die from the ego, you would die from all identities, all the stuff we've picked up. We have a miserable life because we've been lied to from the day we pop out of mama's womb. They start putting titles on you. And even as a little child, mama friend comes over, or they go to the market, and they see mama see one of her little friends, and she's like, "Hey, how you doing, Bessie?" "Oh, I'm doing fine, Louise. How you?" And laughing and grinning, and then the little child standing there playing around, not paying attention to Bessie. And the child, Bessie said hi to the child, and the child just looked. And then the mama said, "Say hi to Bessie." And then the child don't say hi to mama, smack him upside the head to make him say hello. Now he doesn't know how to say hello. He can say hello. And if Bessie is offended because the child didn't say hello, she's the one needing to smack him. Because why do you care if somebody say hello or not? Does that make sense? It totally makes sense. We've been suffered because we've been set up to suffer. We put these titles on everything. Just imagine if you met a woman, you never titled it at all, you start going out together with no titles, no expectation, you get married with no titles, no expectation, you will have a marriage that will last forever. Because now you're not trying to live up to what she wants you to be, And she's not trying to live up to what you want her to be, because you can't live up to someone else's expectation. You can't live up to your own expectation. That's why people fight. Isn't that amazing? What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's fantastic because, so even for the concept of like a man and a woman, you know, in like a marriage or just a relationship in general, if a man is trying to have all these ideas of, I have to, you know, talk to the woman this way, I have to act this way, she's got to respect me in this way, like he's already in his mind anyway, so you can have everything laid out for you and say, this is how a Christian relationship is supposed to go, or like a, you know, man to woman relationship is like truly supposed to go, but you're still living in that darkness anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're not living in the light, so how are you actually being a real example?
Yeah.
You know, I asked the question about obligation, not to hog the mic, sorry.
No, you're fine. It's fellowship. Don't worry about it.
No, because I asked in terms of so my dad, I forgave him years ago. We have a great relationship now, but I'm still seeing how the way he was raised and the way how he's kind of, you know, shown it towards me, and I'm like, wow, I see what it is, but it's like an obligation sometimes. Like he'll call me and say, hey, come hang out with me, or, you know, can you help me with this? Can you do that? And I've been watching for years the feeling of feeling obligated to do it.
Yeah.
And then just like what you said before, I would do it, and then I'd resent it, I'd be angry about it,
Yeah.
but I noticed that wasn't me. It was that, you know, basically I got it from my mom. Like I know 100% that was from her because I would hear her
Right.
say it all the time. But I realized I'll do the right thing and I'll appreciate the stuff that we do and like the time that we have when I don't come from the place of I have to feel obligated to do it. And even saying no, like, hey, just not tonight, you know, like, because I live close by to where he is. So if I just say, hey, no, not tonight, not this, the devil will just go wild when I do that.
Yeah.
But over time, this is why I asked about family, because I'm in town and I saw a friend that I've known for years. And I went to, not to put too many details out, but I saw him last night. And we used to be, quote unquote, super close, you know, like that used to be like the community we were a part of, you know, that whole like music thing, like it was a family. But I realized it was so fake, you know, because no one really has love for anybody inside this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild to see that. But at the same time, I looked at everybody, I'm like, I'm no different than you, and you guys are no different than me, like you're all going through the same thing. But it's such a different like view and relationship on it than I've ever seen it before. And that's why I wanted to ask, like, what does it mean to be a family? Because to your point, I think it means nothing. Because it shouldn't mean anything, because then you have the right relationship with it.
You will have the right relationship. It will be perfect. But the moment you put a meaning to it, you bring in hell. And the next time your father asks you to do something, if you feel obligated, don't do it. Just say, no, I can't. And feel the pain of obligation. Feel the guilt. Feel that so you can die from it. And then when you want to, you say yes, and don't, you will feel nothing about it. But that's something that has to die. Anytime you feel guilt or obligation, that is something that has to die.
Right, because I could easily tell my mom no if she ever asked me something like, no, I'm good. You know, like hang up the phone and not talk to her for a couple of weeks. But it's always been, so the thing about like having the ideas, one of the big things, and it just recently I kind of overcame this, was I had the idea I couldn't be a Christian if I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. And this is coming after years of listening to you, doing the silent prayer like nonstop. But it would always be, I have to do these things. Like I have to force the good relationship with my dad instead of it just being a natural thing. And that has caused me so much unnecessary suffering. I'm like, I can't believe I've been holding on to that.
Yeah, when I say return to the Father, it just means don't resent him.
Right.
Don't have anger toward him. And then through the Father, the earthly Father, you return back to God, your spiritual Father. It doesn't mean you got to go shopping. It doesn't mean you got to be hanging out every weekend with him, or every time he calls, you got to do what he says. That's not it. It just means don't resent him, so you could be free of all the obligations and the guilt and the things like that, and you could just live your own life, being free and doing what you want to do. Doesn't that sound nice, to be free?
Yes.
Away from the world, be in it but not of it. And parents love to make, especially mothers, they love to make their children feel obligated to them. They raise you up making you feel obligated to them. They're setting you up as children to make you feel obligated, because the moment you don't do what they want you to do, you got trouble. They raise you that way. That's not love. They raise you as a slave. because now you feel obligated. And at some point, you got to realize it's not normal to feel obligated. As a matter of fact, all emotions, without a doubt, all emotions are evil. All of them, those that so-called feel good and feel bad, are evil. And emotional people are dangerous people. They are dangerous people. And so watch out for an emotional person because they're angry and they have fear and they have revenge. They're revenge. I don't care who it is. It's like your own mama. She'll build an army against you if you say no. She'll call up her sisters and brothers and your cousins and everybody that, whomever, and they'll build an army against you to destroy you because you're the one that got away. You're the one that's leaving hell, and they don't want you to leave hell. Nobody in hell want anyone to leave hell. They want you in hell with them. I don't care who it is. And they work overtime to keep you in hell. Isn't that amazing? But we could be free, but you got to go through hell in order to be free from it. So no, it just means don't resent him, and you do what you want then.
Right. That's why I'm very thankful to go through that experience. All this time with him. And I used to think I was quote unquote reconnecting with him, but really I was just doing it because I was still trying to get something out of him at this, at this age of my life. I don't need to, but again, to the point of I could still just go and hang out with him and do all that, but it's overcoming that deep like resentment towards him.
Yeah.
And as I go through that and like that desire to want to resent just goes away, it just keeps separating from it. Really, like it was never me the whole time.
Yeah, but if you do something out of obligation for him, you're not going through it. You're not overcoming it. You got to all the pain that we feel. That's a sign of hell, and that's a sign that we have to go through that in order to enter into heaven. We got to go through that. It's like the Christians said that, I believe Jesus, Lord and Savior. I believe he died on the cross and rose again, and now I'm saved. No, you're not. That's just another lie. You're not saved. You still have the same nature, which is anger and mean and nasty, judgmental. You still have fear. Nothing has changed, but the preacher pat you on the head and say you're saved, and you believe it, and you live a life of hell. And then you drop your body in hell. The way you live life here is the way it's going to be when you drop your body, when you die. Because your body just died, but you're not dying. So if you're living a spiritual life of hell in a physical body, you're stuck once you drop your body. But if you live in heaven on earth, when you drop your body, you're still in heaven. Eternity, you're still in heaven. Isn't that amazing? We really could be free. It's not easy. It's not easy dying. Only because we have been taught that all this stuff is us. They give you all kind of titles of who you are. And you believe it, and so you grow and believe in it. And to overcome that, I was reflecting the other day, and I remember when I was a kid, one time I was at school, it was recess time, and we were all on a merry-go-round on the playground. And the merry-go-round was going around so fast, I was feeling dizzy, and I wanted to get off. I wanted to jump off, but I was afraid that if I jumped off, I would get hurt. Even though it was dirt surrounding, it wasn't brick or anything. And I kept saying to myself, I'm gonna jump off this thing, because I felt like I was gonna throw up and everything. And but I didn't jump off, and because I didn't jump off, I got round sick. What do you call that kind of sickness? Motion sickness. Yeah, motion sick, going around in circles. And I thought about when I first woke up, God allowed me to see. It was the same thing with the ego in the beginning for me. Whenever I would feel fear or doubt or worry, I would feel all this anxiety. I didn't realize that I was dying, and in spite of not knowing I was dying, that ego part of it was dying anyway, but I was feeling afraid because I felt like I was losing something. I thought I was losing me because I was so identified with the ego, I thought it was me, And so I didn't want to lose that, because if I lose that, what would I have? You know, I used to think that. But I'm so grateful that in spite of that, not knowing at the time, because this is like 34 years ago now, maybe 35. But thank God he didn't stop me from understanding and dying from the ego. And I've noticed that over the last 34 years, little things have happened, and I have overcome them. And when you overcome them, you realize how important you have made them. And you realize that after you die, that you made those things so important to you. But once you die from them, then they're not important anymore. They're no longer important. But they seem so important. It seemed important to lose money at the stock market, though I never lost money in the stock market. I know people who have, and they trip it hard. I remember when I used to date a lot, and when I would break up with girls, I felt like I was losing my soul, like I was gonna die. I used to date this one woman, she was so pretty and so fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to put all the emotion in it. She was so fine and pretty, and she had been dating basketball guys and stuff like that too, right? And so she was so fine, she would call me up when I was at work. I worked at the hospital, and she wanted to come have lunch with me. And I would say, yeah, come on up. And I made sure that when she came to lunch, I walked her through the whole hospital, because I want all the guys to see her, see me with this girl. And when I would lose, it felt like my soul would be, you know, I had lost my soul, like I had lost life itself. I didn't know that was ego dying. I didn't know what that was. And I would get another woman so I can get rid of the pain. Had I known then that, hey, let that die, feel that pain, nobody or nothing should be that important to you. It broke up, bye. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know it was all ego. I thought it was love, but it was ego. And that's how it's gonna be with everything. Once you die, you're gonna be shocked at the stuff that you have made so important to you. Really. And it's just all ego, and it brings nothing but misery. That's why it doesn't last. It began to feel like fun. After a while, the hell start coming out, you know, and then you try to make it work. We should not have to make any relationship work. Either the marriage is going to work or it's not going to work. If you got to make it work, it ain't working. It's not going to work. It should work on its own. It doesn't need your help. You be you, she be herself, the kids will be themselves, and life will be amazing. But you try to make it work, it's never going to work. You're not supposed to make it work. In the good old days, marriages last for a long time. It was older than a baby child. It was like 50, 60, 70 years old. Marriages, right? Because when I reflect, for the most part, they didn't put effort into making each other be what they want them to be. They disagreed at times, but the marriage lasted because they were not fighting and carrying on. Now they fight all the time. That makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So the next time your father asks you something, and if you don't want to do it or you feel a sense of obligation, don't do it so you can go through the death of that ego. And then you'll be clear and you can do or not do. It'll be fine.
Right. It took a long time to just observe myself going through it, but I noticed I got to go through it and do it, and then avoiding it was the worst thing too, because a lot of times.
Don't avoid it. Yeah.
So that's why I stayed where I live, you know, close to them. That when he called, like, getting over my mom and that relationship was easy, but I didn't realize how, like you said before, I put the importance of my dad and having him be a certain way to, you know, to make me feel a certain way.
Right.
That idea has kept me in bondage for like my whole life.
Yeah.
You know, because all I was trying to do is let me act this way so I can get this thing from him. But he was doing the same thing. He's acted a certain way to get something from me.
Absolutely.
So we're just two, you know, idiots yelling at each other.
Two devils trying to get something from one another.
Yeah.
Amazing, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, stay with it and don't. You're doing the silent prayer, right?
Every morning, every night, and just trying to be as conscious as possible when I'm doing everything. You know, it's because that's where you really start to separate from that.
And if you feel like Satan's gonna tell you that silent prayer is not working, look at you, you're still in your head. It is working. And that's why he's telling you it's not working. The thoughts are telling you it's not working. All thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. Really, all thoughts are lies. And it goes deeper than what you can even, wait until you truly start sinking into hell. The thought process, you're not going to believe what you used to believe, that you even believed it. Or you did some of the things that you've done. You're just going to say, it's going to be shocking. And the thought you've had about yourself and about other people and the conniving and the scheming and the lying and the beta. It's a mess. That's why I say that anger is evil. Anger is pure evil. That's why Christ said that anyone that has anger is a murderer. Anger is pure evil. There's no love in it at all. Zero love. And we need love. Christ came that we may love one another. And just think about that. We are human beings. We're living in a body as human beings, but we are spirit, really. And we were created by love to love one another on earth. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But nobody loves anyone. They love their cats and dogs more than the people. And they don't love that either. They just get a fake feeling back. They think the cat and the dog love them. They don't. The cat and dog can care less about them. But they feel like they're loving the animals. But just think, we were created to love one another. And yet all we do as human beings is destroy one another. And don't even question it. Why am I destroying someone? Why am I destroying myself? We were created to, it doesn't make sense. Well, it makes sense as to why, but it doesn't make sense that we're destroying one another and we don't even question why. Why am I doing this to another person? There is a war happening in Israel right now between, apparently, according to the report, Palestine attacked Israel over the weekend, I guess, and people being killed, kidnapped, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, and then I remember seeing big rallies in Israel at one time, recently, protesting about something dumb. Just think about that. Human beings are at war, killing human beings. And all they're doing it for, only thing war is ever about is money and power. It's not about the people. It's about money and power. They have no love. Human beings are killing one another, and now other human beings are going to have to take sides. Some are going to take the side of Israel, and some are going to take the side of Palestine. And they don't really know what's going on from the top, because it's the folks at the top that have you in war. And then you find out years later the war was fake. We should have never been in war. And that's the same thing happening in your world. You're at war with yourself, and you're at war with everybody else. It's no different. It's the same war because it's the same spirit. It's the same spirit.